theta in the horizontal direction and tau theta in the vertically downward direction. So the sign convention is that on the plane, whatever normal stress is acting away from the plane, it is positive. That is tension is positive, and tau theta, which will produce a anti-clockwise rotation, that is treated as positive. So this is the sign convention here. So what we do, we will identify the coordinates of the right face and the top face in the sigma theta plane. So to identify the coordinates, so we will look at that stresses acting on that plane M. So that is this compressive stress 10 and shear stress 8. So according to this convention, so sigma theta will be minus 10 and tau theta, the direction is reverse, so tau theta will be minus 8. So the coordinate corresponding to the plane M is given as minus sigma theta comma tau theta, which is minus 10 comma minus 8. So now we can look at the coordinate for the upper face N. So here the stresses are normal stress 20 and shear stress 8. So we can again, using this convention, we have sigma theta is 20 and tau theta is 8. So both are positive quantities. So the coordinate is plus 20 plus 8. So after that, we will show these coordinates M and N on the sigma theta plane. And once we let's do that. So we have the sigma theta and tau theta here. So the M value is minus 10. So it is minus 10 to the in the negative, along the negative direction, and minus 8 means we are moving in the upward direction here. So we can get the coordinate for M. So we move minus 10 and move up 8 units. And for N, from the origin, we'll move 20 units to the right and then 8 units downward. So we'll get the coordinate. We have located the coordinate N. Then point N. So what next we'll do? We'll join this line Mn, and this Mn intersects the sigma theta axis at C. So this C also happens to be the midpoint. Why it is a midpoint? If you take the average of the y coordinates, minus 8 plus 8, that average is going to 0. So C also happens to be the midpoint, and its coordinates are given by this x1 plus x2 by 2. So we are getting 5 comma 0. So with this, we can next step will be to draw a circle with the center C and radius equal to cm or cn. So to find the radius cn, we have the coordinates 20 comma 5. So it will be 20 minus 5 square, that is 15 square plus 8 square. So that we'll get that value as 17. So that is what we are doing here. So 20 minus 5 square plus 8 square, we are getting a value of 17. So this circle will pass through these M and N points, and it will intersect the sigma theta axis at A and B. So, and the maximum values of tau theta are occurring at absolute values are at D and E. So we want to find what is the coordinate of point A and what is the coordinate of point B. So to find the coordinate of point A, we have OA, it is equal to OC plus CA. CA is the radius. So OC coordinate is 5. So we'll have 5 plus 17. We'll get 22. So this coordinate is 22 comma 0, and it represents the maximum principal stress. And if you want to find the coordinate of B, from C we are moving in the leftward direction by 17 units. So we can get OB, that is we are actually getting the coordinate. So 5 minus 17, which is minus 12. So it is a compressive stress, because minus 12 is a compressive stress, and it is the minimum principal stress. So yeah, the coordinate is minus 12 comma 0. You can also get the coordinate for the maximum shear stress which is occurring at point D and point D. So point D will be coordinate of C and x coordinate of C and D are same. So we'll have 5, and the y coordinate will be radius, which is 17. And for point D, the x coordinate is again 5 and radius is 17. So the y coordinate will be minus 17. So here the plane M, that is a vertical plane M, is located here, and it represents the axis, x-axis, means the normal to that vertical plane is coinciding with the x-axis. And now if you move along the arc by an angle say 2 theta b. So the arc is subtending an angle 2 theta b at the center, then the plane will rotate in the same direction. So if you rotate here from A to M to B in the anti-clockwise direction, so the plane also will rotate by in the anti-clockwise direction, but only half the amount subtended here. So if it rotates by 2 theta b here, then the plane will rotate by theta b. So we can calculate the orientations of the planes B and A. So what we do? Yeah, so this angle is 2 theta b, and from M to A, that angle is subtended at the center is 2 theta A. So we want to find what is 2 theta b and what is 2 theta A. So to find 2 theta b, from M we'll draw a normal and it intersects the sigma theta at P. So we take tan 2 theta b is MP by CP. So MP value is the coordinate of y coordinate of M, which is 8, and CP value, how do we get CP value? This is C coordinate is 5 and coordinate of x coordinate of C is 5 and x coordinate of P is minus 10. So 5 minus minus 10 will be 15. So CP value is 15. So with this we can get 2 theta b, which is tan inverse of 8 by 15, and that value is 28 degrees. So this anti-clockwise rotation is 28 degrees. So we can find what is 2 theta a. So it will be 2 theta b plus 180 degrees. So 2 theta b plus 180 degrees is 208 degrees. So with that we can get the rotations of the planes, which is half of those angles. So theta b will be 14 degrees and theta a is 104 degrees. So if you see, if you rotate by 14 degrees, we will reach point B, and point B corresponds to a normal stress of minus 12. And if you rotate by 104 degrees, you will get 0.8, and 0.8 corresponds to a normal stress of plus 22. Okay, so we can sketch that figure, sketch those planes here. So we have that stress element with those compressive stress and tensile normal stresses and shear stress. So now we are rotating plane M by 14 degrees in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is the plane, and this plane corresponds to plane B. And on this plane B, we have that normal stress minus 12 acting. So we reverse the direction and show 12. We show it as a compressive stress 12. And if you rotate this plane M by 104 degrees, that is 14 plus 90, so you will get plane A. And that plane A, we have normal stress which is 22 comma 0, so we have 22, and there is no shear stress, so shear stress is not shown. So this is the stress element, principal stress indicated on the principal planes. And yeah, there are no shear stresses on these principal planes. So we can also get the orientations of the planes with maximum shear stress. So the planes with maximum shear stress are indicated by D and E. So again we calculate that 2 theta D. So that is shown here. That is the angle subtended by this arc MBD at the center. So 2 theta D. And also we need to calculate 2 theta E, that is angle subtended by MBD and AE. So 2 theta D will be 2 theta B plus 90 degrees. Okay, so 2 theta B is 28 and 90 degrees, so it will be 118 degrees. And 2 theta E will be, this angle is 270 plus 2 theta B. So 2 theta E is 2 theta B plus 270 degrees. And we get 28 plus 270, which is 298. So taking half of that, we'll get theta D is 59 and theta E is 149. So what does theta D corresponds to? It corresponds to the coordinate 5 comma 17. So when you rotate the vertical plane M by 59 degrees, so this is the plane we get, and that plane corresponds to point D. And here, there the normal stress is 15 and shear stress is 17. So the normal stress we are showing 5, and shear stress sigma tau theta is in this direction, so we show 17. And for point D, that is when you rotate by 149 degrees, the vertical plane, we have the coordinate 5 comma minus 17. So we rotate by 59 plus 90, we'll get the E plane here. And on the T plane, the stresses are phi comma minus 17. So we show phi, and tau theta is anti-clockwise rotation it will produce. So we show the arrow like this with a minus 17 value. So what we can do, we can reverse the arrow and then plot the stress element one more time. So we have that stress element with normal stresses 5 and 5 and shear stress 17. Okay. So we see that both the normal stresses on those two planes are same, because sigma theta for plane D and sigma theta for plane E are both same and they are equal. Yeah, they are 5. It has a value of 5. So this is another illustration of using that plane stress Mohr circle for analyzing plane stress problems. So sometimes if you want to find an angle, if you want to find the stresses on a plane making an angle of say 30 degrees. So here what you will do is you will have to move by 2 times 30, 60 degrees along this, 2 times 30 is 60 degrees, and then you have to find that point G. And once, so what will happen is that point G will be somewhere here, because 2 theta B is 28. So the point G will be somewhere here, and 60 minus 28 you will get some value that is 32, something like that. And then once you know that angle is making with the x-axis, which is 32 degrees, you can find the coordinate of G. So it will be, it's a simple geometry, geometric problem. You can find the coordinate of G, and you can join G with the C, and then you can extend it, and it will intersect the circle at G prime, and then you can find the corresponding coordinate of G prime. So if you know coordinate of C, it will be R Cx plus that is 5 plus r sin r cos theta, and y coordinate will be minus r sin theta, and here it will be c minus r cos theta, and y coordinate will be plus r sin theta. So it's very easy. You can So we'll move to the next part of the class. So here what we have is we are analyzing the stress element in 3D for 3-dimensional scenario. So once we have in 3-dimensional scenario, we have, let's say that we have the coordinate axis x, y, and z. So we have a stress wedge being shown, and this stress wedge has 4 planes. So we have plane OAB, plane OBC, and plane OCA. So plane OCA is parallel to XG plane. Plane OAB is parallel to XY plane, and plane OBC is parallel to YZ plane. And the inclined plane is given by ABC, and this inclined plane has normal and a tangential direction. So the normal direction is denoted by n hat, and the n hat is given by these quantities Lx I cap plus Ly j cap plus Lj k cap. What else is given? Yeah, we are given the area of cross section of this area of the inclined plane. That area of inclined plane is ABC, which is delta A. So on the remaining planes, there are stresses acting on the remaining planes. So what will happen is these stresses will produce some forces, and these forces are balanced by a force acting on the inclined plane. So let's call that force acting on the inclined plane as F. Okay, so on this inclined plane ABC, we have that force F, and it has 3 components: Fx I cap plus Fy j cap plus Fz k cap. So Fx, Fy, Fz, 3 components, each acting along each one of them acting along that particular axis. Okay, so this force is balanced by the stresses acting on these planes OAB, OBC, and OCA. So we can find the Fx, Fy, and Fz values individually by force balance. So force in the x direction, Fx, on the inclined plane is equal to the contribution of the stresses, like they will contribute in the x direction. So here sigma x, tau ix, and tau zx are acting in the negative x direction. So each will contribute to the x component. So sigma x, what is the area of this area? What is the area of this plane? So OCB and what is the area of OCA and what is the area of OAB. That we can get by projecting it. So OBC will be delta A LX. So we are projecting it onto the onto this plane. So the actually the vector n is Lx I cap. So if you project it onto the YZ plane, we'll get delta A Lx, and if you project it onto the XG plane, we get delta A Ly, and if you project it onto the XY plane, we get delta A Lz. So we can get the area of those planes. So we just have to multiply that stresses with the area. So for sigma x, for fx calculation, we'll multiply sigma x times Lx delta A, tau yx times Ly delta A, and tau zx times Lz delta A. So that is the first equation. And similarly for the y in the vertical y direction, we have tau xy and times Lx delta A, and here sigma y times Ly delta A and tau zy times Lz delta A. So that is the second equation. And third equation will be for the z direction, z axis. So tau zx, tau xg comma L delta A, tau yz Ly delta A, and sigma z Lz delta A. So we have that force vector, and we want to find the normal component of the force vector. So we will multiply the, we'll take a dot product with the normal. So we get f dot n. So n is this much, Lx I cap, Ly j cap, Lz k cap. So we'll get fx Lx plus fy Ly plus fz Lz. So if you do that calculation, we will have sigma Lx square, sigma y Ly square, and sigma z Lz square. And we have here tau yx Lx Ly and tau xy Lx Ly. So these two will add up and we'll get 2 tau xy Lx Ly. Similarly, we'll get 2 zx Lx Lz and 2 zy Lz Ly. Okay, so these three will have these terms and multiplied by delta A. And what is the normal stress? It will be on the inclined plane. It will be sigma n is Fn by delta A. So we get that stress, normal stress sigma n. This is a quadratic form. So we have Lx square, Ly square, Lz square, and also Lyz, Ly, Lz, 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 Lx, and Lx Ly. So we can rotate the coordinate system such a way that these values will drop out. The shear stresses will drop out, and we can get a principal stress. We can get principal axis such that only the normal stresses are acting on those planes. So by suitably rotating the coordinate system, we can get the principal axis A, B, and C. And in the principal axis system, we have normal stress sigma A, sigma B, and sigma C. And the stress on an inclined plane, sigma n, is given by these values: sigma A lambda A square, sigma B lambda B square, and sigma C lambda C square. So now what we'll do is we will look at this 3D stress element for the which are oriented along the principal axis, and we will study what is the Morse circle for this 3D stress element. So please note that there is no shear stress acting on these principal planes, and let's look at the Morse circle. So we have XYZ axis. Now these axes are oriented along the principal axis. So our stress element is sigma A, sigma B, and sigma C. And for this problem, we will assume that sigma C is less than sigma B is less than sigma A. So what we can do, we can draw the sigma theta axis. Because we want to draw the Morse circle, we'll first draw the sigma theta axis and identify the coordinates for those principal stresses. So C represents sigma C comma 0, and B represents sigma B comma 0, and A represents sigma A comma 0. Because this relation is satisfied, we will have these points in this way: A is greater than B is greater than C. So first thing we'll do, we will look at the stress element from the Z axis. Okay, so we are looking from this G axis. So what we will see is, we will see only sigma B and sigma A. So that is what is sketched here. So we are looking from this axis. So we have sigma A and sigma B. Now what we are doing is, we are rotating this stress element with respect to the Z axis. Okay, so we are making a rotation with respect to this axis. So these stresses will have to change with this rotation, and those planes will have some stresses sigma theta and tau theta, and to get those stresses we can use the Morse circle. So when you are rotating this stresses by some angle theta, and we'll get those corresponding Morse circle here. So the Morse circle we are drawing here. So A and B are actually the principal stresses. So we are showing A and B here, and we are drawing a circle with AB as the diameter. So the circle will center is somewhere here. That radius will be sigma A minus sigma B by 2, and the maximum shear stress values will occur at D1 and D1, and that value is equal to the radius, so it will be also sigma A minus sigma B by 2. So this is the Morse circle for rotation about the z axis. Okay, and sigma C will not change. Sigma C will be constant. Only thing is sigma A and sigma B values will because of the rotation will they will change, and you'll get some shear stress also, okay, due to the rotation. And we can locate the points planes corresponding to the maximum shear stress. So the planes corresponding to the maximum shear stress make an angle of 45 degree with the principal plane. So here the principal planes are, these two are the principal planes, vertical plane and horizontal plane, and you can identify two planes which make an angle of 45 degrees. So here what is shown here is we are looking from the z axis. So this line E1 corresponds to top left corner and bottom right corner. So here also if you see in this cube we have top left corner and bottom right corner. So this surface corresponds to E1, and we can get the surface for this D1 if you take this which is a plane perpendicular to this shaded area. I'm not showing that, but we can get that surface also. So this is for a view from z-axis. Now what will happen if you view this stress element from the x-axis? So we are viewing from this direction here. So if you view from this direction, we'll have sigma b on the top above and sigma c to the left. So that is what is shown here. So sigma b from the above and sigma c to the left. And what we have, we are now rotating this stress element with respect to the x-axis. So we'll get a Morse circle in this way. So we know sigma b is greater than sigma c. So the principal stresses are now different. Sigma b will be the maximum principal stress, and sigma c is the minimum one. And so we have B here and C here, and we draw a Morse circle with BC as the diameter. So we find the center of this, and then with that radius sigma b minus sigma c by 2, draw a circle. So the tau max here will be sigma b minus sigma c by 2, and it occurs at D2 and D2. So again, those planes are oriented at 45 degrees with the principal planes, and we can identify one of the plane here. So how will the plane look? So here we see it is going from top right corner to the bottom left corner. So we are actually looking from this axis, sigma A axis. So we have top right corner and bottom left corner, and that plane is shown by this shaded area that corresponds to plane D2. And the mutually perpendicular plane is there, which is not being shown, and that corresponds to E2, which is at 90 degrees. So that will be a different plane. So you see that, yeah. Then what we'll do is we have done two things. We have looked at this problem from g-axis and from x-axis. Now we look from the top. From the top view, that is from the y-axis, we will look down. So we have sigma A to the top, sigma A acting upward, and sigma C downward. So I think I had done it in a different way here. Yeah, you are looking from the top, and you are looking from the top, and such that yeah, we are looking from the top. Yeah, so that's okay. So we have sigma A to the right and sigma C to the in the downward direction. So here this is the top view, and again we have here sigma C is less than sigma A. So sigma A will be the principal stress, maximum principal stress. Sigma C will be the minimum principal stress. So we can draw a Morse circle with C and A coordinates. Yeah, we can draw a circle with a diameter for the radius of sigma A minus sigma C by 2, and we can get the maximum shear stress values, which are D3 and E3. And we can identify one of the maximum principal plane. One of the plane correspond to maximum shear stress. So here we are identifying E3. So here top right left corner to bottom right corner. So you're looking from the top, so it will be top left corner to the bottom right corner. So that plane is shown here. So the shaded area represents plane of maximum shear stress, and any plane, there is another plane, mutually perpendicular plane, which also has maximum shear stress. That is not being shown in these diagrams. So what we can do is, for all these, we can combine all these three Morse circle, and we can get the final one. So we have sigma A, sigma B, and sigma C. So we have sigma theta axis, tau theta axis, and yeah, when you are looking from from the z axis, you are getting Morse circle corresponding Morse circle, which is AB, and when you are looking from the x axis, you are getting the Morse circle BC, and you are looking from the top, that is the y axis, you are getting the Morse circle, the largest Morse circle, which is AC. Okay, so the shear stress will be maximum for this case when you're looking from the top, and that value is sigma A minus sigma C by 2, and the plane on which it occurs is like this. Okay, so with this knowledge, what we will do is we will take a look at the plane stress problem one more time and see how to use this knowledge. Okay, so I'll take a small break and come back now. Okay, so let's take a relook at the Morse circuit for plane stress with the previously obtained knowledge. So we have the plane stress scenario. So we have that in plane stress is sigma x, sigma y, and shear stress tau xy. Out of plane stresses are out of plane means planes on the outer face and farther face. It is sigma z is 0, tau zx is 0, and tau zy is 0. Okay, so what we can do, we can rotate this plane stress, this stress element in such a way that we are left with only the principal. We can move to the principal plane directions. So this is the principal plane. These are the principal planes, and we have the principal stresses sigma A and sigma B. And we can for this phase say that in the z direction we have sigma C, and that sigma C value is 0. Okay, so what we have here is this stress element is sigma A, sigma B, and sigma C. So for plane stress case, sigma C is 0, and here we are looking at the principal planes only. Okay, so there are no shear stresses. So this is the 3D principal stress diagram, and we are looking. When you look at this diagram from the C axis, that is then you will get this 2D view, and this 2D view corresponds to the plane stress problem. Okay, so what you're doing in plane stress is that we are rotating with respect to that Z axis. So let's look at a few cases here. So the first case is both principal stresses are tensile, and sigma A is greater than sigma B. So what we'll get is sigma A is greater than sigma B and sigma C is 0. So this relation we will get, and we can plot the Morse circle. So first thing is we draw the sigma theta axis and then tau theta axis, and we can identify the coordinate for each of these principal stresses. So for C it is 0, 0, and B will be sigma B, 0, and A will be sigma A, 0. Now we can draw the Morse circle. So for AB will get this circle, and for BC will get another circle, and AC will get the biggest one with the largest radius. So tau max we can have tau max individually. So for AB we'll get sigma A minus sigma B by 2. BC will be half of this diameter. Diameter is sigma B. So half of the diameter is sigma B by 2. So the maximum shear stress is sigma B by 2 for this case. And yeah, and for the largest circle, the diameter is sigma A and half the radius will be sigma A by 2. So the maximum shear stress is sigma A by 2. So again, so for this case, what is happening is the maximum shear stress is corresponding to this AC. Okay, so what will happen is we are looking from the top, and we have sigma A and sigma C, and the plane is this one. Okay, so the maximum shear stress plane is indicated by the shaded area, and that is making an angle of 45 degrees, and it is out of plane. Okay, so the maximum shear stress is acting out of plane. It is not acting in plane. So although we get some maximum shear stress for in plane, but that value is lesser. That value is smaller than this maximum value. Okay, sigma A by 2, and in plane shear stress is sigma A minus sigma B by 2. But sigma A by 2 is greater than sigma A minus sigma B by 2. So the maximum shear stress is acting in the out of plane direction. Similarly, so we can have another scenario where both stresses are compressive, and sigma A is magnitude of sigma A is greater than magnitude of sigma B. So then we can plot the sigma theta and tau theta axis here. So we can identify the coordinate for C, which is 0, 0, and sigma for B will be minus sigma B minus 0 minus sigma B comma 0, and sigma A will be minus sigma A comma 0. And we can again draw the Mohr circle. So for AB we'll get one more circle, for BC we'll get another more circle, and AC will get the largest one. So again the largest one will have the maximum shear stress, and that value is sigma A by 2. And for the remaining circles we'll get shear stress, but that is lesser than the largest circle. So again here we can identify the plane with the maximum shear stress, and here the plane with the maximum shear stress correspond to this AC, and so it is out of plane like the first case. And there is a third case scenario where one stress is tensile and another stress is compressive. So that is indicated here. So sigma A is greater than sigma C, and sigma C is greater than sigma B. So in this case, we can the C coordinate coincides always coinciding with the origin here. So the C is shown here, and A is tensile, so A is shown here to the right of C, and B is shown to the left of C because it is a compressive stress. So we can again have the Mohr circle. So in this specific case, what will happen is for the in-plane stress, which is indicated by this largest circle. Okay, so the in-plane stresses are indicated by the biggest circle. There it will have the maximum shear stress. So tau max will correspond to AB, and that will be sigma A minus sigma B by 2. So minus or minus will become plus. So we are actually having this entire value by 2. And out of plane shear stresses are less than the in plane shear stress. So for this case, what will happen is our shear stress, maximum shear stress plane will be like this. It is in plane. So if you're looking from the C axis, it will be making an angle of 45 degrees. Okay, so the in plane shear stress is like this, and out of plane shear stress is like this because you're looking from the top and you are getting that 45 degree angle. Okay, so this is a very important thing, because when you will discuss the stresses in cylindrical pressure vessels or circular pressure, when you discuss stresses in cylindrical pressure vessels, we will find that out of plane shear stress is maximum, and in plane shear stress is lesser than the out of plane shear stress. So that's why we need to understand this concept. Yeah. I think I can go to the next part, but I don't know whether we'll have sufficient time. Maybe we'll stem. Okay, we'll try. I'll try. It's fine. So we'll discuss about stresses in cylindrical pressure vessels and spherical pressure vessels. So we'll treat them as plane stress problems, and so the terminology is like this. First thing, we'll analyze a spherical vessel which is thin walled, that is thickness is very small compared to the radius, and then we'll identify the membrane stresses, that is the in-plane stresses acting uh, on these elements of the components, and stresses on outer face of pressure vessel interface. I think I'll skip this part. We'll discuss it next class.